Thanks, Grace. All right. Well, first of all, it's an honor to be here tonight, to be able to share my story with you all. I am a Haiti earthquake survivor, and I'd like to just share my experience. First, this is my family over here to my left. I'd like to introduce them to you. My father is the director of World Vision in Haiti. My mom works at orphanages and prisons. She also works with the youth group. And my sisters go to Quisqueya Christian School, where Grace and I used to go. Our family has lived in Haiti 3 times during our life. Once in the 80s, it was just my parents. And then in 2003 to 2005, with me and my whole family. And then just recently in 2009, my mom and my dad and my 2 sisters moved back there. And I had the opportunity to go and visit them over winter break on January 2nd, so 10 days before the earthquake. And during that time, I visited hospitals, orphanages, and I began to get back some of my Creole that I had learned while living there. So tonight, I'd just like to share my account of what happened during the earthquake, and I'd like to start on the day of the earthquake. So next slide. This is a group I was working with earlier in the day around noon. And it was a medical team, and we went into these villages to work with pediatric children who needed help. So there's this group, and then on the next slide, this fellow was also with our group. His name is Benjamin Larson. And just to bring a little gravity to all this, he didn't survive the earthquake. And I just wanted to put this picture in here to honor him, because he was down in Haiti with his new wife and his cousin. And I ran into them a few days after the earthquake, and just a very sad situation, but I just wanted to pay respect in this slideshow. So the next slide. I was at an orphanage on the 2nd floor when the earthquake hit. The earthquake lasted for about 38 seconds, and it felt like a train ramming into our building again and again and again. It just rocked us all. People were falling over. Buildings were falling down around us. There's debris and dust flying up in the air. Very scary. I made my way over to the balcony railing to brace myself, and I planned my escape route. I was getting ready to jump off the balcony onto a truck down below in case our building started to collapse. Luckily, the integrity of the structure stood strong, and when it didn't collapse, and when the earth stopped shaking, we grabbed all the little kids we could and got them out of there. On the 2nd floor is all special needs kids, so they couldn't save themselves. So this is us just moments after the earthquake hit. We're all sitting on the floor. We tried to get all the kids in a safe area, and we were just trying to comfort them and keep them calm. And I've been training to be a firefighter the past 4 years, so the firefighter instincts in me wanted to immediately go out and rescue the people in the buildings that had just fallen down. You could hear screaming, crying. It was a terrible, terrible feeling. But they needed my help there, so I stayed for about 5 hours to help out. Now, communication went down, and we had no idea the magnitude of what this earthquake really did. We thought maybe it was just in our area or something like that, but we didn't know that it had affected the whole country. And I was waiting here, and finally my dad showed up, and this is about 10 o'clock at night, and he pulled me aside, and a very serious look on his face. I'd never really seen him in this state before, and he's like, "Trevor, come here." And I felt in my gut he was about to tell me something bad. And he said, "Trevor, I went back to our apartments where we live, and your mom and your sisters were on the bottom floor of the apartment. And all 5 stories of the apartments collapsed, and they haven't been accounted for. And Trevor, it doesn't look good." And so he basically told me that my mom and my sisters had died. And I didn't know what to do. It was like a bad dream coming true, you know. And at first, I felt sorry for my dad, because he's a family man, and he just invests everything into my mom, into their marriage, into my 2 sisters. Just, he's a great dad, and so I was mourning for him at first, but then, you know, I couldn't believe they were gone. So I was trying to be optimistic about it, like maybe, you know, they're just trapped in there or something. This next slide is one I took where this is kind of a sensitive picture because I was feeling the saddest I've ever felt in my life, and I took a picture to capture the moment. I never, you know, dreamed of sharing it publicly, but I wanted to take it for myself so that I could remember the moment and the emotion and just, you know, that feeling. It wasn't a good feeling by any means, but that's just to explain the picture. I'm going to leave that up as I explain what happened. So that night I went with my dad up the mountain to our pastor's house. The pastor had a working phone, one of the only working phones. Together we made some very difficult phone calls. We called my mom's grandparents. We told them what we knew, that it didn't look good, and we left it at that. We told them, we'd let them know, you know, the next day when we found out what happened. That night I couldn't sleep. Aftershocks were still hitting and rocking the building, still crying in the streets. So I decided to plan a search and rescue for the next day. I started making my list, you know, gloves, water, pickaxe, a tarp, and my list included body bags. I didn't want the body bags to be for my family. I was trying to stay optimistic. I told myself these body bags would be for other people that we found while we were digging through the apartment. As soon as dawn rose, I got up. I was trying to get my dad up. I'm like, come on, we gotta go. They could be breathing their last breaths right now. We have to get down there. You know, time is of the essence. And my dad didn't seem like he wanted to go. He started talking about funeral plans, and that just broke me. You know, I saw that he had lost all hope and that he didn't believe they were alive anymore. And that's when I started to cry. I walked outside and I saw the sun rising over the city. The devastation is the first time I'd seen it in the daylight, and it was horrible. But eventually we made our way down the mountain, and we stopped at my dad's office to gather tools to dig my family out. And as we were pulling in the front gate of his office, my mom and my two sisters walked in the back gate. And they were covered in dust, they were bleeding, they were crying, but they had made it out alive. And it was the happiest moment of my life. We all just held each other and we cried. And what had happened was, as the building was collapsing, the wall of the bottom floor broke open and they were able to escape. They were able to jump out as it was coming down. Otherwise, there's no exit from the bottom floor. You have to walk up 3 flights of stairs to the main level. So it's completely a miracle, completely God that they made it out alive. They spent some of the night in a tree. They have a crazy story. They're walking miracles. I praise God for them every day. We were able to evacuate them out of the country. We thought my mom had a broken arm and a broken leg. It turned out it was just deep bruising, but they were first priority to be evacuated to the States. So you can go to the next slide. I went back to the house a few days later. It had already been looted of any valuables, but these are the pictures I took. This is 5 stores into about 1. So next. Just broken apart. Okay, this is gonna be a before and after picture. This is our living room. You can see my mom, my dad, my sisters. Then this is after the earthquake. Just unrecognizable. The next one. This is our kitchen. Next. All I can see is a chair there. Next. This is me and my sister worshiping. And then the next one is just all broken up. So you can show the next few. I went inside and the building started to shake as I was trying to find my passport and my wallet and stuff. So it started shaking. I got out of there as quickly and as carefully as I could. And then this is kind of a comparison. The left side stayed standing and the right side collapsed, the side that my family lived on. So you can kind of see it there. And that's me. That's all I was able to pull out, a few pairs of clothes. Okay, that's my mom. Pretty soon after we found her, she's in a lot of pain, and she progressively got worse. And then these are my 2 sisters, pretty traumatized. They're doing better now. They're all in Connecticut, so yeah. Okay, so I stayed in the country for about a month doing relief efforts. I worked with evacuating orphans. We got about 200 orphans out. I worked with a helicopter drop team. You can change it. We were doing food drops. We got 100,000 pounds of food out in about a week. We did medical evacuations, food distributions. I worked in a hospital, got lots of experience. I even did surgery. So, and then the last day I did, I did rubble removal. And we were able to supply a whole village with water because we cleared out their well. So now what I'm doing is I'm writing a book, and I've started a nonprofit organization called Firm Foundation, and it's to help rebuild Haiti. So that's what I'm doing. Thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for your time.